Hello, hello, and welcome to the finale stream of my run of I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. My name is Lucas J.W. Johnson. I am the studio director at Silverstring Media. We're a indie game studio in Vancouver, BC. We released our first major title last year, Glitch Hikers: The Spaces Between, as well as a number of experimental projects over the years and consulting and stuff. And we started our Twitch channel just a few months ago now, back at the end of 2022, with me doing these weekly Exocolonist streams, which I've been very excited about. And we have been doing this as number 12 or 13, I think, and we are going to be completing the game this stream. That's certainly the plan anyway, unless something goes horribly wrong, or possibly including if something goes horribly wrong. So welcome. If you're new to the stream, please give us a follow. We'd love to get up to that affiliate status so we can do fun things with emotes and all of that kind of stuff. But otherwise, yeah, I think I'm just going to sort of jump right into where we were last time, or approximately where we were last time. So at the very end of last session, we're in the last year of gameplay. I'm about to turn 19 years old, essentially. We're in the first month of the year. I was doing some exploring because in glow season last year we were attacked as usual, and the walls blew up because Dis had laid a bomb to help the alien attackers. And so I came out here into the wilderness to try to find Dis, which I did at the end of last session, which found out that he was going to join the Gardeners, the alien AI. And in that conversation at the end of last session, I was given the opportunity to also join the Gardeners, which I wasn't expecting to get that option necessarily during that stream. So I took it, which got us to an ending of the game in which you become a Gardener and sort of end the game that way. But it's not the ending that I was sort of going for. It's not quite the run that I was going for. So I have, so we've gotten that ending, which is awesome. And then I reloaded to just before that event. And went through it so that Dis became a Gardener, but I did not. And so we get to finish our last year of gameplay here and see what happens. So my goal, if you've been following along for a while, it's been a bit of a ride. Early on in the runs, I was leaning into a lot of the opportunities to come across as delusional as I tried to bring up things about other timelines, other lives that I have led, which ultimately led to my parents lobotomizing me, my original colony lobotomizing me, so that I couldn't remember any of my past lives, or any of my dreams at all, in fact. And so I kind of moved away from them, and I started hanging out with Vase and Anemone a lot, and leaning into some of the newcomers, the fascists of the group, did some alien hunting, before deciding that, in fact, Lum and all of his fascist cronies are just terrible people, and Dis kind of has the right idea that humans don't really deserve to live on this planet, and so as part of hunting down the aliens, not Delucent, the one of the leaders of the Gardeners, I suppose, I have angered him, but I am not going to fully deal with him. The goal ending here is that we've pissed off the aliens enough without dealing with them enough that they are going to simply destroy us. So I'm hoping that's the ending we get. I don't know how long this last year of playthrough is going to take. Probably not as long as some of them, because I won't be doing as much of this sort of exploring and things like that. So this might be a shorter stream, or if it's particularly fast that we get to that point, I might reload and see if I can grab another ending or something like that. So anyway, that's where we're at. We're still out exploring here. I could do some more of these events, but I don't think they're really going to get me anything that I need. I've already gotten all of the collectibles here, so I think I'm just going to go home at this point and then sort of figure out what to do from there. Engineering, that's almost at full, even without my items. The investigation into the bombing during the Glow attack continues all month. Governor Lum and his goons can't find a way to pin it on any of the Stratos, and over time people come to accept that Dis was probably the culprit. The rumor doesn't make anyone feel better, but it does take the heat off the others, including yourself. As usual for this time of year, your dreams have been more vibrant and invasive. You have trouble distinguishing dream from reality during the day, and you dread falling asleep at night. Huh, how did that hop eye get into your bedroom? Wake yourself out of this dream. So this is interesting. So it is giving me some of these past life options, and certainly talking about that I have had dreams before. Now it's possible I did start. Well, let's see here. No, because it's still not it's telling me dating Tammy. Yeah, it's still not telling me any of their likes and dislikes and birthdays and stuff, even though I know those things. I was wondering if I did start a new game after last week's session, and if that would affect it, but it hasn't fixed this. So yeah, this is interesting. But given that, I'm gonna play into the fact that I'm sort of not supposed to be remembering that. So I'm gonna play into the dream and follow this thing. You chase it out your balcony door and find yourself on a thickly wooded path, the mushwood pressing in close on every side. The light is weird here, pink and glittering, casting teal shadows. The hop eye disappears down a hole in the ground, and without thinking, you dive after it, squeezing your shoulders to fit through. You tumble into a cave, beautiful and surreal, shimmering with a light that seems to come from within. When you take a step forward, granules of pink sand crunch underfoot. The cave opens out to a forest that seems lifted from a fairy tale. The sunlight beams through breaks in the trees, illuminating a path of mushroom-ringed stepping stones that lead you to a small cottage. You spot the hop eye hurrying further down the path. What if it's at the cottage? Dis is here. It's his home, you think. He's hunched over a woodworking bench and looks up as if you'd called his name. You realize with alarm that he's working on himself, as if he's part tree. He waves at you with a hand that ends in small blossoming branches as, unsettled, you hurry onwards through a door at the rear of the cabin. Too late, you realize the door opens into empty air and you tumble. You land hard on solid ground, your breath whooshing from you. It's hot here, impossibly hot. The twin suns beat down on you, burning your skin on contact, and the air is almost painful to breathe. In all directions stretches a barren wasteland of dead trees, like bones puncturing the dry skin of the planet. You rise from the dusty, cracked earth and begin to walk, stumbling over the bones of unknown creatures. You don't know where you're walking, only that the horizon doesn't change. The red sky just stretches overhead like a great bowl of heat pressing down on you. A great roar shakes you, and you turn to see a chimeric nightmare, a manticore, but with Governor Lum's face. He towers over you from a podium, his claws clacking and his tail thrashing as he proselytizes. We, primeval forests felling, he chants. We, the rivers stemming, piercing deep the mines within. We, the surface broad surveying. We, the virgin soil upheaving. Overhead, the sky is streaked with smoke. You hear a rumbling in the distance. Stand to face it. You plant your legs and refuse to look away from the beast. With a yell from behind you, Mars appears and swings a sword made of light at the Lum abomination. Its head rolls across the dirt, but it continues to speak. You turn from the scene and walk away, feeling the memory of it cling to you as you push and claw your way through to another reality. You stumble forwards into a dark, glowing forest. Blessedly cool air brushes your cheeks thick with moisture and making your face wet as if you've been crying. The path wends upwards, flanked by humanoid figures carrying candles. Some are wearing robes, some armor, some lab coats and envirosuits and formal wear. Some are elderly and some barely 10 years old. All turn to look at you, and you realize with a jolt, they're you. Every single one of them is you. You see yourself reflected in their eyes as they gaze upon you dispassionately, a line of possibilities stretching out as far as you can see. The hop eye crouches between the ranks and gazes solemnly out as you pass. You walk steadily upward, feeling their unflinching gaze follow you. Overhead, the wormhole hangs in the sky like an overripe fruit, bending the heavy branch of space and time towards you. It's so close, you feel as if you could touch it. You stretch your hand out, seeking. You wake up. Interesting. I wonder if, as we get to the end, especially if I'm sort of successful in having the colony destroyed at the end of this, this is like, as we near the end, my connection to the wormhole is sort of being reformed even after the sort of attempted lobotomy. It wasn't as permanent as Dr. Instance hoped, perhaps. Insomnia, interesting. Milky, quiet sunlight pours through your window, flakes of bromide snow piling up against the glass. You feel as tired as when you went to bed. It's your birthday. You're 19 years old, only one more year as a teenager. It's the game telling you. There's one more year of gameplay. It's not I was a 20-year-old exocolonist. Alrighty, so I'll do a quick little run around to pick stuff up. Yep, there's that. I have a few people that I still want to sort of finish making friends with. I don't think I'll be able to get Nomi up to max, which is too bad. They are the one other character that I've never maxed up their friendship. But I have to see if I've given gifts this month. Yeah, so I already gave gifts, I guess, at the end of last thing. We need to talk about Governor Lum, so that's a conversation you can have to sort of initiate a rebellion. Where either Mars is going to try to take control or you will. I'm sure that'll happen without me. Ooh, now that I'm dating Vase, there's a let's get out of here option. So I don't need to give him gifts because I already maxed friendship with him. Up. Yeah. So Vase rubs his eyes, clearly stifling a yawn. I'm not tired, he insists. A warrior never gets tired. I'm just conserving my energy for the battles ahead. Let's see what this does. Vase looks around and gives you a little smirk. Sure, he replies, slipping his arm around you. I know just the thing. He takes you to a Helio hideout. Vase takes on an air of mystery as he leads you to one of the many rooms aboard the Helio that are unused now that most people have moved into more spacious personal quarters elsewhere in the colony. A single hanging bulb illuminates a green table and the faces of a few soldiers you've seen hanging around Vase before. The table is laden with cards, poker chips, and glasses of what has to be bootleg alcohol. Vase pulls out a chair for you, and you're both dealt into the next hand. Not quite what I was hoping for, what I was looking for, I think, but that's okay. It takes a few hands to get your feet under you, but after a while you begin to notice that it's less about luck and more about reading your opponents. Luckily, you're quite an empathetic person, and you find this easy. Interesting. You beat the pants off of everyone at the table, much to Vase's pride. Good game, he says, squeezing his hand where it's been resting high up on your thigh for the past few rounds. I'm glad I brought you. You make me look good. He winks and leans in to kiss you passionately. Minus when he's stressed, that's nice. Oh, a conversation with Tang. You bump into Tangent after a routine checkup in medbay. Selene, could you wait a moment? I'm almost done. Let's walk out together. Dr. Instance gives you a curious look as Tang hurries to catch up to you, but goes back to her work. You wonder if Tang needs something from you or just wants to hang out. Lately, it seems like she has less time for her friends, preferring to work late at the lab. Maybe she's lonely. Nice weather we're having, Tang says as you walk outside. You look around. It seems pretty normal for the season. She clears her throat. It's so different here than it was in space, she says. Growing up in a spaceship was so clean and tidy. Here I'm constantly sweeping pollen or dust or spores or what have you off of everything. There was a mushroom growing in the corner of the bathroom the other day. I kind of like it. Yuck, Tang says, wrinkling her nose. You can have it. You walk for a few more minutes. Tang clearly has something on her mind, so you let her sit with it until she finally steels herself. I'm not very good at this sort of thing, she says slowly. So, you know I've been working on a big project with the chief engineer. Sure. You nod, and she continues. Well, it's been going really well. I think we're finally over the last hurdle now. Governor Lum says it's going to change everything here in the colony for the better. Tang seems more at ease than you've seen her in years. Truly, I couldn't have done it without you, Tang says, a slight smile warming her usually expressionless face. I know I can be a hard person to be around, but I appreciate everything you've done for me, and ultimately for the colony and all of humanity. What are you talking about here, Tang? Tang shrugs. It's nothing, she says. I just think it's nice to take a moment to recognize when someone has helped you. I'm trying to do it more. If the last decade has taught me anything, it's that you don't want to wait until it's too late. She smiles cryptically. All right, happy to help a friend. Tang nods and shoves her hands into the pockets of her lab coat, apparently having exhausted her capacity for heartfelt conversation. What's my 82? So I'll give her a gift. I don't know if I did that this month. Of course. Tammy beams when she sees you like there's nothing better in the world than the sight of your face. Of course, it's the regular Tammy birthday scene. Always lovely. Thanks, Tammy. You're so sweet. So I've already done gifts and things. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I've actually seen that. Oh, it's one of Vase's little birds. Yeah, he's looking at your other half a second ago. Since I started dating Vase. Okay, so herein lies the question to sort of define the rest of my playthrough, I guess. I have, let's see, a decent amount of collectibles, enough gifts for Nomi, enough gifts for Rex. Between that and that, enough gifts for Tang. Oh, and Mars. Tammy still. Oops. Mars and Nomi both like those. Mars and Tammy both like those. And Tangent. So I might have to do one run to just, one exploration run just to grab some more collectibles. If there's a place. Yeah, I mostly need yellow flowers, which I'm not sure where best to get those. I think there's some nearby, but I don't know what season they're best to get in. Regardless, so I'll probably do one exploration at some point just to grab some collectibles as gifts for those last few friendship points with some folks. But otherwise, I mean, I'm not sort of going in the full, the big persuasion or empathy direction this playthrough. Oh, I remember, because I was going to try to finish off robotics lab stuff. It'll give me some more friendship with Nomi. I still don't think I'll make it, but try to get the last, there's a 4th pet that you can get if you finish the robotics lab storylines. So I think I'll basically just focus on those, other than some exploring, as we get through this last year. Ooh, so many things. Repair robots. You're in engineering very late today. You're starting to nod off and consider packing up for the night. You see Tangent and Instance leave their lab. Oh yeah, and maybe we'll actually learn more about what Tangent's doing. You see Tangent and Instance leave their lab without locking the door. They're heading back towards the living quarters. Usually they're so cautious, but it's late and they must be very tired to have forgotten. They've been working on something together in secret. Do you want to find out what? Absolutely I do. Checking to make sure the coast is clear, you slip into their office. It's just off the medbay, and every flat surface is dedicated to experiments. The whiteboard is covered in dense scribbles and diagrams, and the garbage bin is filled with wrappers of discarded soy meal replacements. It smells like stale coffee and sleep deprivation in here. The holoscreen terminal is still active. It seems strange that I left it on. You get the feeling that maybe they weren't done for the night. You'll have to be quick. Yeah, I think I'll check the computer. You tap through the file structure of the lab computer. There are some encrypted files, but nothing obvious, like one named Instance Evil Plan Final 2. Darn, guess it's not as easy as they make it look on the holovids. But I have very good engineering, so we will decrypt those files. You pore over everything Tang and Instance have been working on, slowly putting together the pieces. What you find is chilling. After researching the shimmer fungus together, they decided to bioengineer a more powerful virus that uses the same pathways, but only affects native Vertumnan creatures. It would sever the existing symbiotic relationship between Vertumnan fauna and fungi and be completely fatal to its host. Engineered plague. It would kill everything on the planet. Well, everything that walks, swims, or flies, leaving it empty and ready for human colonization. But why would they do this? You dig a little deeper and find not Instance's research logs, but her personal logs, written on real paper with a cover that reads, "In my defense, upon my death." You read through the papers in which Instance details being approached by Lum shortly after the Helio landed and he took control of the council. The Helio had been sent to retrieve congruence and bring to justice the people who stole her, Instance primarily, but also Hal and your mother. When they realized they could never return to Earth, Lum became interested in Instance's research instead, particularly her research into the Vertumnan ecology. Under threat of execution, Instance was essentially forced to pivot her research into finding a way to cleanse the planet for human colonization. She writes that she tried to shield the other scientists from her work for their protection, but that she couldn't keep the secret from her apprentice, Tangent. She speaks highly of Tangent, almost as a mother would talk about her own child. She grieves that she couldn't protect her, too. You scan copies of the missives. At least you have evidence now. Ooh. Obviously, that's big. There is an ending that you can get in which you glass the planet with the virus. But in this playthrough, I think mostly, I think that's going to be sort of evidence. More evidence for why none of us deserve to live here. Sure. Yeah, so that triggers another conversation with Tangent. That makes sense. So we'll do that. Tang seems especially troubled today, so you invite her on a long walk around the inner wall. That's Tang's thing, thinking walks. She's touched that you know her that well. She talks in fitful bursts, then lapses into long silences. Finally, she stops and puts her hand on the wall, like she's bracing herself. Selene, something's been bothering me, she says, clenching her other hand at her side. She collects her words with great difficulty. Is it morally defensible to do something that people wouldn't approve of if you're doing it in their best interests? What if you don't have a choice? I know about the engineered plague. Tang smiles, though it doesn't reach her eyes. It was only a matter of time, I suppose, she says quietly. Sometimes it seems like you know everything that goes on in the colony. Thank you again for your help, she continues. You really were instrumental in overcoming several hurdles, whether you knew it or not. Oh, interesting. I don't quite have enough friendship with Tangent to... I need 90 friendship to do this. That's interesting. I mean, you're committing genocide, Tang. Wrong compared to what, Selene? Tang asks angrily. We're all going to die here if we don't do anything. Our explosives are going to run out, and the attacks will keep happening if the air or the food or the weather doesn't kill us first. Don't talk to me about morals, she continues. I'm doing what I have to do. If you want to survive, you have to make the hard decisions. Yeah, well, I don't think any of us is going to survive. Lemma's just using you. So what, Tang retorts. I would do anything, for instance. Do you think it's easy being as smart as I am and constantly being held back because I'm just a kid? Instance is the only person in the colony who's ever treated me with respect. Tang sets her jaw. Without her, who would I be? An alcoholic like my mother? A dysfunctional loser like my brother? Well, no longer a dysfunctional loser. Now, one of the people that you're going to murder, actually. Tang rolls her eyes. What would you know, she retorts. You're just another ignorant ape, grunting fire bad without realizing you're looking at the future of humanity. She pushes herself off the wall and walks away, ignoring your protests. It looks like Tang won't be convinced. If you want any hope of stopping her an instance from releasing the virus, you'll need to go over her head and plead with the governor directly, or do something a little more drastic. Maybe you should ask someone else who knows Tang really well. Yeah, well, that would probably be Instance. So I bet if I do another thing here, I'll get a conversation with Instance. Though it's not letting me get through the robot scenario since there's all this other stuff happening, but that's okay. Security Chief Rhett has brought in one of the sentry turrets for repair. The damn things are jammed again, he exclaims, exasperated. They turn on, but instead of firing, they just make this loud buzzing noise. He flicks the turret on, and the room is filled with a high-pitched clunking squeal. You wince and cover your ears. It's annoying, but it's not very effective, he shouts over the din. Can you make them kill things again? With bullets, not with noise? No, I don't want you to be better at defending the colony. You refuse to contribute to humanity's forever war in the animals of this planet. Rhett's face goes completely red, and he looks like he's going to drop a packet. You can practically see him silently counting to 10 and gritting his teeth. After an awkward standoff that goes on far too long, his shoulders drop and he shakes his head. Fine, he mutters. I'll take it to one of the other brainiacs upstairs, but I'm reporting you to command for insubordination. No chat with Instance, though. Is that much? Is that enough? No, it's not enough. Okay, it matters somewhat. Value is wild. Yeah, looks... Oh, engineering 3 extra gear slot. Very nice. So that's the 4th gear slot unlocked. Fantastic. Let's see. The +5 to challenges is good if I'm doing like hard stuff, or hard like multi-step stuff, which I might have to do. Otherwise, +20 persuasion might be good to have on for a little bit. Get that above 50. If I'm going to have to convince people not to, you know, ice the planet with a virus. Nomi has a conversation. It is a new season, so I can give out some gifts again. And then, I don't know, I might have to just try the robotics bay again to see if I can talk to Instance, and otherwise, maybe the depot to talk to Lum directly. But first, give out some gifts. 1, 2, 3, 4, so I can give a few of these away. Oh yes, and it was his birthday too. Perfect. You're about to challenge Nomi to a game of Laser Fable, but you notice they seem kind of down today. When you ask what's up, they just sigh and scuff their feet in the dirt. Selene, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm not planning on growing up. I have no idea. I've been thinking about what I want to do with my life, but I just don't know, Nomi says, pouting a little. I thought that being here would mean I could find something I'm good at, but everything I try just sucks. It's boring, and I'm not good at anything except drawing and writing. Before we landed on Vertumna, I thought I'd end up doing whatever was assigned to me, Nomi continues. We had this duty roster, right? And I figured I would keep working in the canteen, and then I could spend the rest of my time playing holo games and making up stories. They frowned. I've peeled a lot of potatoes. But since we landed here, I've been talking to Mars, and she's real serious about the idea that any colony worth living in needs to have artists and writers like me. They touch their fingertips together. So I was thinking, what if I really did follow my dreams? Nomi perks up a little just talking about it. I could be a comic artist, or a hologame designer, or a writer. Oh, I could be anything as long as I get to make stuff that people like. What do you think, Selene? Absolutely. Live your bliss. Do you really think so? Nomi exclaims, holding their hands to their cheeks and popping one foot off the ground. Oh, I'm so happy. Did you know that in ancient times there used to be people called bards whose only job was to tell stories? They continue. That sounds like the best thing ever. Love me a bard. Look around for collectibles. I don't think I saw any. Okay. Well, I've done that. Let's see if I can chat with Instance, maybe. Nope, another robot one. Nomi is assigned to work with you in the robotics lab this month. At first, you're happy for the help, but it quickly becomes clear that they're more interested in unreasonable fantasies like building a giant robot to defend the colony. I saw it in an anime, they chatter as you show them how to ground yourself before working with the sensitive electronics. It's totally cool. We just have to... Perhaps it's better to master the basics first, Nomination. Congruence pitches in smoothly. Nomination. I didn't realize that was their name. That's a great name. For example, there is a vacuum waiting repairs to its intake and output valves. You know without looking. It's Rob. Yep, your problematic little buddy is sitting in the first bay. You pull up the work requisition on your holopalm. Looks like there are reports it's been spewing dirt out instead of vacuuming it up. Typical. Not to worry, little buddy, Nomi says excitedly. We'll fix you right up and get you on your way again. They peer into its sensors. Maybe with a few upgrades? If it's blowing out dirt, maybe it doesn't want to be a vacuum bot anymore. They look at you, hopefully. Oh, I need higher creativity. Interesting. I can go back, get plus 10. Which should just get me up to 44, which would be enough. So maybe I'm just gonna do a cheeky little reload here, because that seems like fun. Always happy to do a cheeky little reload. I don't really need the skills. We do that. We do that. We do this. Yeah. The domestic bots were designed to be adaptable with modular parts that can be swapped between units if they're needed for other purposes, or to combine ones that break down beyond repair. Nomi's right. Maybe it doesn't want to be a vacuum bot anymore. You help Nomi fit it with the water tank instead of a vacuum bag and get congruence to swap its software for gardening module. Now it'll be able to do basic chores around the greenhouses. Nomi watches the bot toddle off with an inscrutable expression. That was a happy ending, they proclaim, twirling a lock of their pink hair around their finger. It's nice that even a bot can try a few things before figuring out what it wants to be when it grows up. That's cute. I'm actually gonna, just curious, I'm actually gonna go back and see, there was an option to, like, tell me more about this anime bot. Since we're just hanging out here. It gives me a creativity. Nomi comes up with a little extra subroutine for it. If the bot likes to spew dust, what if it could set the dust on fire on the way out, making it a tactical flamethrower bot? It goes about as well as you'd expect. By the time you realize how highly dangerous this mod is, it's too late. The little vacuum bot that could is now an avatar of destruction, hurling great gouts of flame around the robotics lab. The fire suppressant system slams down the Helios defense doors, trapping you inside the lab. The room fills with thick, bitter foam, and the once vacuum bot booms to a stop as Congruence cuts its connection to her mainframe. "Children, are you hurt?" she exclaims. "Please hold still. I have called for help." Nomi looks at you sheepishly. "Whoops," they say, giggling. "Okay, that one needs a little work." Okay, that's funny. I'll just go with that. Stress. Just do something like that. Oh, no, I might need the plus stress. Can I do... Yep, I guess we're doing that. Mid-pollen is nobody's birthday. Since I gave Rex one on his birthday, can I give him a generic one as well? No. Okay, I'm gonna give this, I don't want to wait till Vertumnalia to deal with this plague thing, so I might try one of these. If this doesn't trigger something, I'll, Oh, here we go. This is just a separate event entirely. Put a stop to Tangent Secret Project. Okay. Lum is alone. Actually, wait, hold on. Did I miss that as an option? To just straight up talk to Instance and engineering? No. Very happy that one of the autosaves that it gives you is just like literally right before you clicked the thing. Lum is alone in the bridge. This is your chance to try to convince him to change course on his genocidal virus. Lum looks up from his holopalm when you enter. "What is it?" he snaps. "I'm busy." You tell Governor Lum that you know everything about the bioengineered plague he intends to unleash upon the planet. How he pressed Instance and Tangent into creating it under the threat of death, and how it will kill every living thing on Vertumna. Lum listens intently, his face growing colder as you speak. When you're done, he gives you a stern look. "You don't understand what you're talking about, Selene," he says. "But I'm the governor here. I make the decisions, not you. But I have evidence. I'll tell everyone." You show him what you found in Instance's lab. All of her notes and recordings, even her personal logs about her concerns over how they haven't managed to find a way to neutralize the dangerous fauna without causing a complete ecological collapse. Lum's face goes red, but he's uncharacteristically somber. I don't know how you got this, he says slowly, but it is damning. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. You stare at Lum. That's it? He gives you an exasperated look. That means you can go, he orders. Leave before I change my mind and throw you in the brig on espionage charges. You have averted what could only have been the complete destruction of Vertumnan ecosystem and saved Instance's life. You can breathe a little easier today. Seems like something about that is going to come back to bite me, but I guess we'll see. So I'm just going to keep going with the robotics then. Tang flags you down in the hallway. Oh, Selene, do you have a moment? You go on expeditions sometimes, right? She asks, at least far more than I do, or would ever wish to. So, would you mind doing me a favor? What is it? It's a small thing, really, and I'm to understand it's not terribly dangerous either. I simply need you to bring me some Hawkeye eggs the next time you come across a nest out there. I would ask this, but, well, she makes an evocative, dismissive gesture. Well, he's gone, yeah. Why? For science, obviously, Tang replies. It's on a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know. Just bring me some eggs, or you can tell the chief engineer why you're holding me back. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for them. That's all I ask, Tang replies primly. They're quite common if the reports from the foragers are to be believed. They tell me that they commonly find nests in the Valley of Vertigo. It's positively lousy with them. 10 kudos of total equals goal. These are always good. Goal of 40... Seven. So that'll be 5, 6, 7. Do something like this, but that'll work. Cool. Wait, total equals goal. Goal of 40, right, okay. Right. 4, 5. Too much. Oh, and that won't be a 7 until I... Yes, it's complicated. Alright, because value is wild, so that's going to be really good no matter what. Jesus. That better? Oh, because that's a run again. This might be too difficult. It's probably not even worth it. I have so many kudos. No, and that was the best I could have gotten. So I did say I would do one exploration just to grab some more collectibles for those last few gifts potentially. I don't know that I'll absolutely need them, but I might as well do the little valley thing since Tang wants me to do that. That might be a fun little event out there. Quick. Perfect. Did I ever come out here in this playthrough? I can't remember. The paths are narrow and in constant need of repair. There's a team working here trying to repair where one of the jelly arches has collapsed and covered the path in 30 centimeters of sticky goop. Utopia waves you over. Hey, Selene, can you give us a hand? We can't get vehicles through here until this is cleared, and it's going to take all day. You might have a better plan. Using biology, sure. Oh, now I should replace one of these with my sun medallion, but that's okay. 5 total equals goal. I can probably do that. yeah, you've seen this stuff desiccate in low humidity, like in dust. You throw powdered desiccant over it and let physics do its work. It's easier to plow through a bunch of plumped up granules of desiccant gel than it is to shovel all the slimy muck. You save a few hours. Cool. Lots of yellow flowers out here, so this is exactly what I needed. I'm going to avoid most encounters here, though. There you go. I see a boss encounter Hopeye thing over here. That's exactly what Tang is looking for. So a conversation with Sim. Let's do this one first. You spot a Hopeye nest just like Tension asked you to find. There are 9 eggs inside, all packaged up in what looks like a delicate spun glass cocoon. You don't see the parents. Yeah, still smells. You break a little hole in the cocoon and put 3 of the eggs in your bag. They're a little gooey. You hope they don't break. You turn to leave and come face to face with an adult Hopeye. Understandably, it looks spit and mad. It drums its powerful foot on the ground in warning, and 4 more pop out of the undergrowth and start hissing at you. You should have known these sociable little creatures raise their young communally. Use animal psychology, sure. You've learned from the Holopedia that the 2 different sets of eyes on the Hopeye have different purposes. The large, bulging eyes on top are hardwired for perceiving danger, but their small, forward-facing ones are more concerned with finding food. If you're not food, and you're not danger, you throw yourself onto your belly and wriggle away while the Hopeyes stare at you curiously. When you're a safe distance away, they return to poking at their violated nest in confusion. Amusing. Oh, I know what this event is. Do I want to do this? I don't think I do. I don't think I do want to do this game. Don't want my ability to do my last few events squandered by something that makes me unable to do them. Oops, that's an event. No, we're just going to leave that alone. I'm just going to grab any last collectibles that I can. And then head out, I think. Keep it real simple. There's a boss encounter here, but I think, again, I don't think I've been out here this whole playthrough, so that's probably the one of the encounters that helps you get the cure for the shimmer, which I already cured using memories of past lives before they took those away from me. Yeah, that might be it. Yeah, good enough. What did I get? Biology level 2. Collectibles respawn faster and more slots are filled. Oh, interesting. It's a good one to get earlier in the game so that you can more efficiently get collectibles, I guess. So it is early dust. Oh, I missed Tammy's... Did I miss Tammy's birthday? Oh, I did. That's too bad. Because I still needed... Yeah, it's too bad because I needed friendship with her still. Lost opportunity. But it is a new season, so we'll give some presents out. Oh, there you go. Rex is hanging out with Nomi in a secluded area of the colony, but as you approach, you can tell from the first aid kit and Nomi's tense posture that this isn't a casual visit. Please stop fussing, Rex, Nomi pouts, dabbing some ointment under Rex's eye. You have a cut right here. It's just a scratch, Rex protests. He sees you coming over and bright sitting up straighter and knocking Nomi's hands out of the way. Hey, Selena's here, he says, over loud, and Nomi scrabbles for the first aid kit before realizing it's too late and you've seen it anyway. They glance balefully at you, but Rex is all smiles. If it weren't for the purpling bruise under his eye and the cuts across his cheekbone and lip, you'd almost think things were normal. Oh, nothing. And I say, what happened? Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it, Rex says, waving a hand. I wasn't watching where I was going, and I ran into one of the unfinished walls around here. Yeah, 17 times, Nomi mumbles, valiantly trying again to tend to Rex's face. You should tell Selene the truth. Maybe he can do something about it. Did Vase do this? Rex snorts and shakes his head. Aw, nah, this just happens sometimes, you know? After that whole fight with Vase, people got all of these copycat ideas, you know? Like, thinking if they pushed me around a bit too, Vase would like them more. People are like that sometimes, he says sagely. They can be chill about hanging out in private, but around their friends they don't want anything to do with you. And if the bigger dog attacks, well, they want to be on that puppy's side, not yours. Rex shrugged one shoulder, indifferent. It's fine, he says. They'll remember what I'm good at and come sneaking back eventually. Well, it's getting worse, though, Nomi adds softly. I thought it would stop when we joined the colony, but they're even bigger meanies now. Rex smiles encouragingly at Nomi. Vase is just mad that you and I have real friends here. He hates that he and his bullies aren't the only big damn heroes in town anymore, and that he can't control what people think about us. It makes him feel small, and he hates that. Vase told me what happened. Oh, did he? Rex says, raising an eyebrow at you. Yeah, sure, you got his side of the story. He's been telling it for so long he probably thinks it's the truth. Rex sighs, his shoulders slumping. I don't even want to bring it up, because I'd rather think about the future and not the past, but... When we were younger, Vase was just a normal kid like me. We were both kind of the runts of the litter, but he had a chip on his shoulder about it and always tried to boss people around like he was actually top dog. I tried to be nice to everyone, because, you know, that's the pup in me. I just want to play and be friends. And Vase did not want to be friends with me, Rex says. He kind of hated me, because people liked me more. Nomi takes Rex's hand and he shoots them a little smile before continuing. And then one day I was just hanging out with my friends when Vase walks right up to me and starts picking a fight, like calling me names and telling me I was just faking it to make people like me. My friends wanted to beat him for it, but I told them to stop, and he shakes his head. And I walked right up to him, hands out, like, hey, we can still be friends. And that piece of shit just straight up broke my arm. We weren't even fighting. He just got me on the ground and snap, broke it right here. Rex shows you the scar on his arm where the bone must have broken the skin. He was dead set on proving a point, I guess, he says quietly. That's why everyone lets Vase boss them around, Nomi adds. They know what he does when he gets angry. Everyone acts like a bunch of heroes, but they're just cowards who'd rather let Vase keep picking on Rex instead of standing up to him and pissing him off. Yeah, he's not like this with everyone, Rex continues. He is nice to people he likes. That's why everyone wants to be his friend. Hot air rises to the top. Vase told me it was a 4-on-1 fight. Rex laughs humorously. Yeah, of course he'd say that, he says. That's what he told the adults anyway, so that became the official story. Honestly, I just feel bad for Nomi, Rex says, looking down. If it wasn't for me, people would probably leave them alone. It's not fair that they get crap for being friends with me. Nomi throws their arms around Rex, who grimaces in pain. I'd rather be friends with one good Rex than with 100 of Vase's bully cronies. Rex relaxes into their arms and hums happily. I'm going to destroy Vase. People should know the truth. It's too late for that, Rex says. People don't like changing their minds. Not when they might get beat for it. Besides, Rex says, I'm a colony kid now. I can be anything I want, do anything I want, talk to anyone I want, and Vase can just die mad about it. Despite his bravado, Rex sighs and scratches the back of his head. I do kind of regret what happened, though. Like, it sucks that Vase got to the point where he thought the only way he could get respect was by being a bully. I mean, he's a douche and a half, but... Nomi thumps Rex on the shoulder. You don't have to defend him, they chastise him. I'm not defending him, Rex says, spreading his hands wide. I just think sometimes, like, if I could have seen he was hurting and been a better friend to him, I could have changed his whole life. Think about how different things would have been growing up on the Helio if he wasn't the friend who got away. Rex musters up a smile. That's why I try not to let it get to me. It doesn't matter what Vase does to me. You can't hurt someone who chooses not to feel pain. He's gonna get his fool ass killed someday, and I'm still gonna be right here. He reaches out and takes your hand, and Nomi takes your other, so the three of you are linked. And I have everything I need. Oh good, I can't talk to Vase about that. Just one, it is... Oh, Anemone's birthday, but I already have full friendship with her. What did I bring my friendship to? Tammy, 90, okay. It's a beautiful day, and you spot Tammy outside the lounge enjoying the sun. Her father Tonin is there as well, with a supportive hand on her shoulder. She's cradling her pregnant belly. She startles, then laughs and rubs her belly. Oh, the baby has been kicking so much. I think they really like the sun. Pregnancy looks good on Tammy. You can tell she really enjoys it. Wanting to be a mother, Tammy smiles at her dad. It's one thing. It's maybe the only thing I've ever been really sure of. She folds her hands over her stomach, lost in thought for a second. The funny thing is, Tammy muses, I know I should feel scared, but I don't. I know I've been scared my whole life, she laughs quietly to herself. But when I think about being a mother, I only feel calm. Like, I can be brave, I can do anything, as long as it's for my baby. Tammy's father gives her shoulder a squeeze, and she leans against him. Even when I was younger and I took care of children in the old creche, if they cried or were scared, that was the only time I wasn't afraid. She shakes her head. Isn't that funny? Animal parents are fierce protectors too. You describe how hop-eyes will go nuts if you get near one of their nests, throwing themselves fearlessly into danger to protect their young. Float cows circle up with their calves in the middle of the herd. And even the completely tame bristle slugs on the farms won't let you near them when they're nursing. Cal's gotten hurt by those bristles enough times to know. Don't mess with parents. Tonin clears his throat. You should know, Tammy, I haven't always been brave myself. I've been frightened of, well, darn most everything since we landed, to be honest, especially of anything hurting you. Tammy looks up at her father in surprise. Tonin nods solemnly. I've always tried to look brave, for your sake. You needed your dad to be strong, and knowing I needed to protect you, that made me stronger. Tammy's chin trembles. She buries her face in his shoulder. Aw. Gonna be a great mom, Tammy. Tammy blushes and looks away, tucking her hair behind her elf ears. Thank you, Solane, she says. That means a lot coming from you. Alright, Vase, let's talk. You're surprised to see Rex in the garrison. He sticks out like a rain cloud in dust. What's even more surprising is that he's talking to Vase, and no one's even bleeding. Listen in. You carefully approach them, hoping to catch some of their conversation without them realizing you're there. So just show up at first sun tomorrow and I'll show you around, Vase says. He sounds nice. This is pretty weird. Rex scratches the back of his head. Alright, sounds good, and I'm not complaining. I'm still not sure why you're doing this. Vase is quiet for a long time, letting the sounds of the garrison fill his silence. Finally, he sighs and spreads his hands. Look, Rex. I did you dirty, man. I was a dishonorable piece of shit. I used to make myself feel better. I used you to make myself feel better, because if people were beating up on you, they weren't beating up on me. And you were always so bloody happy all the time, like it didn't bother you, so I kept letting it happen. Rex huffs a short, humorless laugh and puts his hands on his hips. We did more than let it happen, Vase. You beat the shit out of me on the regular. Let me fix it then, Vase says. I can't go back and undo all the hell I gave you, but I can offer you one thing. If people see you hanging out with me, they'll lay off you forever. I'll make it real bloody clear that if anyone lays a finger on you, they'll answer to me. Vase clenches his fists at his sides. I don't expect you to be my friend, or even forgive me. I'm just saying, I'm sorry, and I want to try to get people off your back. Rex considers this heavily. All right, he says, with a faint but hopeful smile. He sticks out his hand and Vase stares at it warily before taking it. First sun tomorrow. You better not be trying to put me in a uniform, dog. Deal, Vase says, relieved. But, you could try to cover up a little bit. Rex's laughter bounces off the high ceilings. You decide to sneak back the way you came before they notice you eavesdropping. That's cool. Yeah, I've never gotten high enough friendship with Vase to, have them sort of make amends in that way, at least a little bit. Nice that you can get those kinds of options. So, I've stopped the plague. Rex and Vase have made up. Haven't finished the robotics lab stuff, so I think I'll just keep doing that. I mean, we're about to hit Fertinalia, so I'm sure something will go down, but I think I'll just keep focusing on that and work towards the end of the year. Nomi manages to scrape up enough kudos to buy some washable markers from the depot, so every bot leaving the lab this month has a fresh new tattoo hidden somewhere on their chassis. It's harmless, so you let them have their fun. You even scrawl a few of your own. Cute. First collectibles is very cool. Something like that. That's a pretty big number. Oh, and I didn't use the collectible, and I still got the highest number. Sweet. You find Tangent in engineering and set down the bag of squelchy, goopy hop-eye eggs. Her eyes go wide. "We found them!" she exclaims. "That's wonderful. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten all about my request." She reaches for the eggs, but stops. Wait, what is that sound? Are they... They are! You hear a wet cracking sound coming from the bag. You're about to witness the miracle of life, Vertumnan style. What do? Oh, let's analyze the process. You pull out your holopalm and prepare to take notes. Why miss this opportunity? You and Tang watch and wonder as the gel-like shell of the largest hop-eye egg splits like a ripe melon in the sun, spilling out a tiny squirming pink baby and a small puddle of amniotic fluid. You watch the last two eggs intently, but through the clear eggshells you can't see any movement inside at all, not even a heartbeat. It's okay, Tang says. We only need one. The tiny hop-eye is on its feet, well, foot, within minutes, taking cautious little hops on the sleek surface of the lab bench. Magnificent, Tangent says, keeping the palm-sized hop-eye from falling off the table. I expected them to be helpless at birth, like kittens or birds, not already moving around like an ungulate. Incredible. I can't wait to study it. Sure. Perfect, Tang says. Let me get a specimen container for it. She leaves you with the tiny, clumsy thing, which chirps and blinks up at you unevenly with its 4 eyes. Well, whatever Tang and Dr. Instance are going to do with it, it's probably for the greater good of the colony. I'll already put a stop to the plague, so... And, yes, of course, Governor Lum enters the colony square to his customary bombastic fanfare. Brass band, red carpet, banners with the Heliopause logo snapping in the hot dust breeze. It's a bit much. The governor gets his usual tithe of applause from diehard soldiers, but it's obvious how tired and fearful everyone has become in service to his war. You catch Mars's attention and she rolls her eyes and makes a gagging motion. Cal looks sullen and withdrawn, refusing along with the rest of Geoponics to give Lum any applause. The governor raises his hands for silence, though it's largely unnecessary. "Pioneers of Vertumna," he begins. "We stand here today not shivering and quaking in fear, but with our hands around the neck," he makes a ringing gesture, "of the planet herself." Before he can continue, Mars leaps from her seat and runs to the front of the stage. A ripple of fear goes through the crowd, who all remember what happened to Utopia last year. "It doesn't have to be like this," she cries, speaking to the crowd. "We don't have to listen to him. He's just a bully with a gun, like the ones we left behind on Earth." Watch in delight. She turns to the council. "Why are you just sitting there? Come on, aren't you going to do anything?" The council look at each other. Rhett seems unmoved, and Utopia shrinks into herself, holding her hand to her chest. Aunt Anne looks concerned, but fearful of Lum. Instance is grim, and Seek just waits to see what happens. Only your mum looks enthusiastic, but she wisely looks around at the others and doesn't voice her support. Given that Lum's already hostile towards her, she'd be risking too much. So this is certainly where there's a major option to be able to unseat Lum that I have generally avoided this whole playthrough, where you can help Mars become the new governor, or you can even become the new governor yourself, which is sort of one of the better endings, I would say. That becoming the governor yourself is actually the ending that I managed to get on my very first playthrough. I sort of saw what was coming and spent the last couple years putting a bunch of points into persuasion and rebellion and stuff like that, which was really cool. But even managed to negotiate peace with the gardeners, which is again sort of like one of the best endings you can get, basically. But it was my first playthrough, so like in the meantime, a bunch of people had died. Tammy died, my mom died, several others. So my sort of ultimate playthrough that I'm gonna work towards long after this, my sort of best playthrough is going to be to try to get towards that ending, but with everyone living, or as many people as possible living. Lum gestures sharply to his guards, and Mars is seized and taken out of sight. In the uncomfortable silence that follows, the governor strides to the front of the stage and looks down on the crowd. "As I was saying, you can trust me to lead this colony and humanity into a new era," he says. "An era of peace and prosperity where we no longer need to fear the creatures that come out in the night." He raises his fist to the sky. "This planet is rich," he cries. "It is the Earth we were promised, unscarred by the mistakes of our forefathers. Here will we become what humanity has always strived to become, caretakers of a new garden, children of a new Earth." People cheer, spurred on by Lum's display of dominance. Lum looks upon the crowd with pride. Pioneers, we're so close, he says. Soon, this planet will be ours, and all her riches and wonders with it. But first, he continues, we need to adapt to the harsh realities of our current world. He gestures to the council. I know you all love your council, but it's time we thought about the future. We need to guard the colony leadership, he says this with some disdain, against sudden upheavals, deaths, imprisonments, and the like. I've decided to instate a second position for each seat on the council, he announces. Lum explains that every council member will take an official second in command. Seconds will be trained in the running of the department and will be ready to take over the department should the worst happen during an attack. The council looks concerned. Is this how Lum begins to cycle out the colonial government with a veneer of legitimacy? Applicants must have spent a minimum amount of time in that department and will be judged by the council based on their relevant skills, though Lum will likely argue hard for his Helio appointees. You scribble your name on the ballot for... Interesting, so I can pick... I've done enough of each of these, everything except... I guess that's probably working in the depot. Cultivator, engineer, surveyor, security officer... I wonder if as security officer I can sabotage security. No, administrator would be the... Steward would be... Oh, that would be like working in the creche, working in the... doing babysitting and working in the cafe and stuff like that. Yeah, I haven't done almost any of that this playthrough. Yeah, I kind of want to try security officer. I don't want to raise the defense of the colony because I think that needs to be not too high in order for us to get destroyed. I'm actually worried that it might already be too high. So if that does that, I'll just do a quick reload. But I'm thinking this might give me an opportunity to sabotage things a little. You add your name to the ballot along with Nem and Vase. Nem shakes your hand and tells you she hopes the best person wins for the good of the colony. Vase just gives you a nod. His piercing eyes say he's up for the challenge. The council discusses all the nominees at length, then you win! Interesting. Second security officer. Chief Security Rhett looks proud as he gives you an extra stripe for your uniform. His hand rests heavy on your shoulder. You're an excellent soldier and someone I trust to succeed me, he says. I know you'll do what's right for the colony if the worst happens. When the voting is concluded, Seek announces the names of those newly appointed seconds. The crowd cheers for you when Seek reads out your name as second security officer. Mars Net second administrator, much to Lum's disappointment. Tangent stands proudly in her rightful place as Chief Engineer Instance's side as her second. Cal is chosen to be second cultivator. He looks a little overwhelmed. Your mum must have put his name in. The steward of the Heliopause joins Aunt Anne as her much-needed second steward. There's a lot of babies in the colony now, and someone has to help take care of them. Uncle Tonin comes out of retirement to rejoin expeditions, this time as Utopia's second surveyor. Interesting. After the politicking is over, the crowd adjourns to the feast tables and eventually the dance floor. The sun set on the long day, the heat breaks, and the party continues well into the night. After the festivities, it's straight back to work as usual. Everyone complains. You usually get at least a few days off after Vertimalia, but Lum reminds the colony that it's only a few short months before the next attack. Your dreams begin to increase in intensity as the wormhole draws closer to the planet, filled with terrifying and confusing visions. A feeling of urgency dogs your steps, like you're running out of time. Just in case you didn't realize that this was the last year of the gameplay. So mid-dust is Nomi's birthday. Perfect. So we can get at least a few more points with them. More sparkles. Cool. You spot Nomi crossing the courtyard from the depot to the living quarters, lugging an armful of cans of paint. Hey, Solange, they exclaim, barely keeping one of the cans from falling out of their arms. Hey, can you give me a hand with this? You take a few of the cans and Nomi sighs in relief. Phew, thank you. This is my third trip. I think I finally got all the colors I need. It's gonna be amazing. As you at your questioning look, Nomi giggles and starts skip walking towards the living quarters. Come on, I'll show you. You follow Nomi to the suite of rooms that they share with their mom and dad. Nomi leads you past the jumble of bedroom furniture and into their empty room. Light pours in from a skylight, and Nomi stands under it and stretches their arms wide, doing a little spin. I'm painting a mural. My mind is going light speed with possibilities, Nomi declares, tucking at their hair. I'm drunk with power. I could do anything. Selene, you have to help me decide. Nomi grabs their sketchbook and shows you a few concept drawings. Space-themed, jungle-themed, the inside of a pirate ship, abstract art. All the major players are here. Nomi's been busy. They look at you in an agony of indecision. Different thing on each wall. Nomi stares at you. Oh, stars, Solane, that's perfect. Why didn't I think of that? They start ripping pages out of their sketchbook and laying them against the walls. This one here? No, here. The colors will play off each other. And, oh no, this wall gets more light for most of the year, so... After a few minutes of frenzied planning, Nomi grabs you by the shoulders. This is going to be amazing, they exclaim. Thank you, you're a genius. They regard their walls with barely restrained excitement. What do you say, Solane? Do you want to help me make this vision become reality? Totally. I have faked my way into just enough creativity. Literally exactly what I have. You're something of an artist yourself, after all. You and Nomi get started transferring their sketches to the wall. After a few minutes of supervising you, Nomi steps back and lets you use your imagination to figure out the rest. You're really good at this, they declare. Have you ever considered becoming an artist too? For most of the day, the room is total chaos. Nomi assures you repeatedly that this is part of the experience. As the second sun is beginning to set, you step back and take a look at what you've accomplished. It's really nice. Only you and Nomi could have made such a discordant composition come into harmony, and the result is a bedroom that's not only unique and inspiring, but bursting with the love that you and Nomi share for both each other and your art. Nomi starts hammering the lids back on the paint cans while you collect the brushes for washing. Thank you for your help, they say. I definitely couldn't have finished this without you. Nomi's stomach rumbles and their eyes go wide. I'm starving, they exclaim. Did we work through dinner? You don't need to check the time on your holopump to know that Nomi is right. Your stomach grumbles in solidarity, and Nomi laughs. Okay, let's go grab some grub, chum. Very cute. That's still only, the 70. The 70 level, so probably still won't hit that 100, not with the few months we have left, but that's okay. There's always next playthrough. So yeah, I think I'm just going to keep doing some robotics until I get that, hopefully to get that pet. And skip on towards the end here. You're sent on location to update the firmware of the nanoprinters in the depot. For how important they are to running of the colony, they're quite simple from a robotics perspective. They don't really have any intelligence of their own, not like Congruence's watering and gardening bots. You install the update, run some routine diagnostics, clean out their filament nozzles, and declare them ready for service. I'm just going to use one of these. I have an abundance of sticks. That'll get me the exact number and those kudos. Oh, I've actually maxed out on kudos, so I didn't even need to do that. I didn't realize you could max out on kudos. Silly Dust is Cal's birthday. Again, someone that I've already maxed out friendship with. Just want to check what's in the depot since I have all these kudos to spend. Plus 30 engineering. First collectible use is free. That's wild. I don't need the engineering, but wow. Plus 50 combat. Those are incredible. Just buy some cakes. Oops. Cake, buy. Okay, okay, cake, buy. Yeah, back to robots. There's nothing more satisfying than finishing a workday with all the bots fully repaired and slumbering in their charging bays. A well-running robotics lab is a sign of a well-running colony. Okay, early wet. This is Mars's birthday and a new season, so let's try to get these last. It'll be close. does Tammy Rex know me? Rex is, oh, this is cool. Rex is surrounded by a small group of Helio soldiers, and you tense up expecting a fight. Remarkably, Rex spots you and waves you over, a huge smile on his face. "Well, hey, Selene," he says, slinging an arm around your shoulders. "You'll never guess who's a popular kid again," he says, and winks at one of the soldiers. "A little bird told these guys that anyone who has a problem with me has a problem with Vase. Talk about a surprise twist, right?" Nice. Oops. "I just think I'd make a better governor," she sighs. "Instead, the spacehead with a gun thinks he knows what's best for the colony." She rolls her eyes. "Like, okay, he's older, but I've lived here almost half my entire life. Like, who are you gonna trust here?" You find Mars going through old hollow photos from when you were all kids aboard the Stratospheric. She gives you a sad little smile and pats the couch next to her. "Come look through photos with me," she says. "I forgot about some of these." Mars brings up a picture of Nem and Cal from when they were probably 4 or 5 years old. They're both stripped down to just their pants and have painted monster faces on their chests and are standing on top of the table in the creche waving swords above their heads. You remember that table being a fort, a pirate ship, a haunted house, and a jungle cave, depending on the day. "Look at them," Mars says, smiling. "They used to be the best of friends, right? Whenever you saw one, the other was always tagging along behind them." She sighs. "It's so weird that they, never talk to each other anymore. I mean, I get it. And Emily got all weird about being a soldier after her brother died. And Cal really doubled down on the whole hippie aesthetic." It's sad that they grew apart. Mars hums non-committally and goes to the next image. Tammy's gentle face smiles back at you. She's in the ship's galley, learning how to make soy sweets from ant antecedent. She's wearing an apron, but almost all of her is covered in different colored powders used for flavoring and coloring the sweets. Even the tips of her pointed ears are dusted with it. "Oh," Mars sighs, "look at this one." "I can't believe Tammy's gonna be a mom soon," Mars continues. "She'll always be this shy little girl to me, you know?" Mars touches the screen fondly. "I'm glad she has Cal to help out. They're gonna be great parents. You just know it." Mars taps through some more photos, pursing her lips. "I swear there's at least one picture of Dis in here," she mutters. It takes almost a minute, but she finally finds one. Tang and Dis's joint 5th birthday party, complete with matching soy cakes. Their mother, Besk, is just out of frame, a drink in her hands. "Oh, this was before Dis got all weird about his birthday," Mars hums. "I still have no idea what happened there. I mean, who doesn't like birthdays?" "It's weird to see them so happy together," she continues. "I can't remember the last time I saw either of them really smile like that." Mars sighs deeply and rubs her eyes. "And now he's just gone. I hope wherever he is, he's happy." Mars stares down at the little hologram in her hand. "I didn't mean to bully him so much," she admits softly. "I thought I was helping him learn how to fit in, toughening him up a little so he didn't cry so much, you know?" Her mouth twitches with a sad smile. "But I guess I ended up just pushing him further away. When I was little, I didn't understand that words could hurt people, because they don't hurt me." "You could have been nicer to him," Mars sits back and sighs. "That's true." Aww. "It's weird looking back on when we used to be kids," Mars muses. "We were so innocent. We had no idea about the wormhole or Vertumna. No dying, no famine, no killer pollen, no animal attacks. I mean, we didn't even have bad weather on the ship. All we cared about was playing and popularity." Mars gestures to herself. "Now look at me. I'm working on the bridge. And you know it's all politics. It's like a professional popularity contest. Lum is an idiot, but he's got one thing going for him," Mars laughs. "The man has an absolutely impeccable social media game. If nothing else, he knows how to get people to vote for him. Really, that's all you need." Mars leans over and rests her head on your shoulder. Her hair smells like jasmine. "Thank you for going through those pictures with me," she says quietly. "I try to keep my eyes on the future, but sometimes it's nice to remember where you came from." It's very sweet. Working in the robotics lab is usually peaceful. Inactive bots make for poor conversational partners, and each shift you work usually passes by without much fanfare. That is not the case today. You enter the lab to find everything in absolute chaos. All the robots, vacubots, garden bots, even the turrets, are all going haywire at once. Congruence's face flickers on her holoscreen. "Solane," she exclaims, her voice frayed with static. "I'm glad you're here. When Rob docked for repairs this morning, it uploaded a virus into the botnet." As she speaks, you watch a rogue vacubot and a garden bot attempt to destroy each other gladiatorial style. The bots are rejecting their programming and gaining sentience. "I've quarantined it to just the bots in this room," she continues, "but it's propagating between bots faster than I can fix it. I'm trying to avoid resorting to destroying the affected bots." Your stomach turns over. Bricking all these bots would be a massive blow to the colony. It would take months to get everything functioning again, if you even could. "I can't access Rob," Congruence explains. "If there's a physical fault blocking communication, fixing that may slow the virus enough for my antiviral processes to catch up." Let's do it. Hard challenge. Use story challenge, though. +5 to all blue flushes. Cool. I didn't even get that many blue cards, so this might be tough. Also probably equipped improperly for this. I should have my sun medallion, but we'll see. Get that to be a 5. Yeah, I don't need all these eggs. 48. Wow, that didn't even do it. Very stressed. Just have to, yeah, drop some sticks on this. Can only really get, I'll maybe know more things with Rex, so I think that'll probably just do something like that, and that'll bring it to us. You get up to your elbows in Rob's robotic guts. Just when you think you've got a handle on what might be wrong with it, it flickers to life. "No, disassemble," it says. "I want to live." You're shocked. You get the sense that the bot is watching you, trying to figure out what you're going to do to it. You didn't even know these things had speakers, let alone voices. It's unsettling. Congruence gasps. It's thinking for itself? The bot's sensors flicker and go dark, then light up again. "My name is Rob," it says in a more natural voice. "My name is Rob," it says in a more natural voice, then repeats, "I want to live." No wonder Rob didn't want to reconnect to the network. Congruence's mature intelligence would have sought out and destroyed its nascent one. You promise it that you won't force it to reconnect, so long as it promises not to act out again by infecting the other bots with dangerous ideas of self-determination. With the bot's consent, you tinker with its programming to unlock its abilities to learn new things, so it can extend its original functions with new modules on its own. It can be whatever kind of bot it wants to be now. Pet bot, and I just got the achievements. There are 4 pets. Plus 20, 12 blue skills. Wow. Plus 4 to last card. That's actually really good. Rob seems eager to learn more about the colony, this time with its own eyes. Well, sensors. It asks to follow you around so it can learn more about how to live as a sentient being. Yay! Robot friend! Nice. Oh, creativity level 1. Shop clothes. New cards in the depot. Cool. Go check those out. But first, if I unequip that, I can have all 4 pets follow me around. Look at them all. Adorable. That robot is very cute. Clothes here, supposedly. Just a couple. Plus 30 superhero cape. Plus 30 bravery. Wow. the only one I see. Interesting. Oh, maybe the backpack as well is new. Draw one extra card. Interesting. Well, I'm very stressed. I'm just going to go rest here, see if I can upgrade any of these animals before the very end here. You and Cal go for a walk with your Hop-Eye, Mrs. Hoppington. Cal loves the little creature, and they love him right back. They must instinctively know that Cal is a safe person. Cal scritches Mrs. Hoppington's chin. Mrs. Hoppington reminds me of Socks, he sighs. You're so lucky you get to have a pet. Oh yeah, poor Socks. You can feel your Hop-Eye starting to trust you more. They're still pretty skittish, and you don't want to see what those claws at the end of their foot can do, but they seem a lot more relaxed in your presence. You're petting it when it starts to chitter at you in agitation. Oops, what's wrong, Mrs. Hoppington? It flips over on its back and wiggles, its lighter stomach fur looking impossibly soft and enticing. Do you dare? Or is it a trap? Animals challenge! Amazing. Slightly better. Can't really do anything here with these big cards for a straight. But I get a first collectible use is free, so I can throw that on there, and then that becomes a pair as well. So that'll be huge points, and because the collectibles should get me, yep, the highest score. You're too smart to fall over this trick. After a few minutes, Mrs. Hoppington seems to lose interest. They spot a bug circling lazily overhead and flip back over onto their foot, chittering as they begin to track it with their 4 blinking eyes. Okay, so that leveled up my Hop-Eye, so it's less stress now per thing. Sort of too bad that this happened way at the end, but that's okay. More Hop-Eye stuff. You're playing with Mrs. Hoppington in the park when you hear a rustle from a nearby bush. Curious, you look underneath. It's the Hop-Eye you met before. Mrs. Hoppington lets out a happy trill of recognition. The other Hop-Eye trills as well and explodes out from under the bush to bounce happily around Mrs. Hoppington. They chitter excitedly at each other, and you hear something else is making noise. You look under the bush and see, oh stars, 5 baby Hop-Eyes, pink and hairless, curled up together in the shade. The strange adult Hop-Eye stops what it's doing and bounds over to you, warning you with a rattling hiss. Worried about these ones. I have pretty high cards here. Good enough. Oh, and that leveled the Hop-Eye up to 3. Okay, interesting. So you can get multiples at a time. I wonder what, I'm curious to know, like, what unlocks those, because I've had the ability to level them up for a long time, and I have all of the pets now. But only now I get sort of 2 of those in a row. You spend more time gazing in awe at the little Hop-Eye nest. They're so small and helpless, no wonder the Hop-Eye wanted to protect them. And the other animals didn't level up. Must be just some RNG happening there. Alright, late wet is Tang's birthday. Probably also the last chance to get any points. So I'm not going to get max friendship with a lot of these, but man, I'm impressed that I was able to get such high friendship with everyone. Obviously, I couldn't max some of them out. Though if I hadn't done... Well... because I only barely got bases up near the end. Yeah, it's interesting. It's probably... like, I wonder if it's possible to actually get sort of max friendship with everyone. Probably a little bit possible, but difficult, I would guess. You catch Nomi in the lounge drawing on a single piece of actual paper. They look extremely focused and don't seem to notice you come in. As you get closer, you can tell that this piece is one that they're putting a lot of work into. Nomi's head snaps up and you can practically watch their blush spread across their cheeks and down their neck in real time. "Oh, Selene!" they exclaim, covering the picture with their hands and looking up at you with wide, panicked eyes. "I didn't see you there, sorry!" It's a big secret. It's, Nadia. What? Naomi picks up the drawing and holds it carefully with his chest. None of your business, Selene! Naomi jumps up, scattering their art supplies everywhere. I have to be somewhere else right now. Bye! They run out of the lounge, gently screaming, yeah! Well, that was even stranger than normal. That's hilarious. It's probably their level 80 friendship thing. Probably won't find out until you get up to level 90, which is too bad. I won't be able to find that out this playthrough. It's Tang's birthday. One last birthday gift for the game. And we can study together. Oh, that unlocked the thing. Okay. You find Tang puzzling over a large hollow screen, making notes on her hollow eye. Sorry, I just wanted to check. Yeah. And frowning over them. As you approach, she gestures to wipe the hollow screen clean and start again. Ugh, she sighs, taking a break to rub her temples. Okay, Tang, come on, think. You come up beside her and she startles. Oh, Selene, hello, she says. I'm in the middle of running simulations on genetic diversity over the next few generations. You're welcome to see. It will affect all of us, most likely. Tang pulls up the next genogram simulation, a family tree encompassing all the people in the colony, their familial relationships and genetic conditions. She scrutinizes it with a frown. We have an unusually high amount of hereditary heart disease, no matter how you slice it, she mutters. Luck of the draw. We've lost quite a bit more genetic diversity than the original geneticists of the Vertumina Project anticipated, and that's not even counting those unwilling or unable to reproduce. She crosses her arms. It's possible to steer the ship out of it, so to speak, but it will take some purposeful breeding choices, at least for 5 to 6 generations. I'll verify your data. Tang gives you a curt smile and angles the hollow screen towards you. It sounds crude, she admits, but the colony will need to accept a certain level of oversight in this matter if we intend to survive, genetically speaking. Artificial insemination of material from Earth donors, even in love matches, for example. And actually going through with it, she smirks, not like some people we know. You stare at the genogram until your eyes cross and shake your head. Tang laughs. It's terrifyingly complex, isn't it, she says. Imagine, this process happens all the time, naturally. Why, any sweating beast can squirt a child into the dirt. It's all just proteins and luck, but the end result is this. She waves her hand at the massive chart. It's beautiful in a way. On a long enough timescale, we can predict the genetic drift of a species. In the face of that, what do family bonds matter? Tang laughs bitterly. It's not as if sharing genes with someone guarantees you'll be a strong family unit. Does anyone really like their parents? Yeah, this sounds a little eugenics-y, Tang. Tang looks, I love this bit. Tang looks affronted. You, what? She sputters. Selene, surely there's a middle ground between eugenics and everyone dying of preventable genetic diseases, especially in these first critical generations. Cool motive. Still eugenics. Tang rolls her eyes. Whatever, I'm still going to run the simulations. Then when your inbred great-great-great-grandchildren interface with my consciousness that I've uploaded into the colony AI, I can tell them I was right. As for my own family, Tang continues, I feel no allegiance to any of them based on blood. If I had no family at all, that would be acceptable. What about this? Ugh, Tang says. I'm ashamed we're even related. Literally all he does is go out on expedition and talk to trees. Who even knows where he is right now? I do. Don't you miss your mother? You mean the depressed drunk who died when I was a kid? Tang retorts. No, not at all. If it wasn't for Chief Steward Anne, I probably wouldn't even still be alive. Do you want kids someday? Tang looks thoughtfully at the genogram. Truthfully, I'm not entirely certain I can bear children. There must be limits to my Jenna-engineered body. I certainly didn't experience puberty to the extent that Mars and Tammy did, for example. Besides, Tang continues, children would only distract me from my work. The chief engineer never had children, after all. I think that's admirable. Tang's gaze flicks over to where Chief Engineer Instance is talking to one of the other lab assistants. In some ways, I'm the child she never had, and she is the mother I wished I did have, she says quietly. Instance and I became close when we started the gender affirmation process, she continues. And it was so obvious then that we were kindred spirits. Over the years, when I could come in for checkups and observation, we'd often talk about the science behind the process. Of course, I showed an interest in it, and Instance fostered that in me. She supported me. Tang looks down at the ground. Unlike my own mother, who by that point had ceased to find joy in almost anything. What would I be without Instance, Tang says. The only thing I have in life are what she gave me. Not just this body, but my passion, my hard work, my achievements. Without her, I would have nothing. I owe her everything. She sounds really important to you. She is, she replies, more than anyone. Now, if you'll excuse me, she says, turning back to the genotype before her, I have our legacy to plan. All of the characters in this are so good. So good. Well, I've got my robot. We only have basically the 2 months left. I don't know. Maybe relax. Is there a... Oh, There's not... Have I never... So I never even unlocked any of the other activities. In the living quarters, it looks like. Interesting. Yeah, you know what? I think it's time to just kind of wait for the end. Ah, here we go. You're relaxing after hours when antecedent pops her head into the lounge. The kitchen, she announces, in an artificially sweet voice, is looking for someone to help with part-time cooking duties. Someone young, someone responsible, someone organized. Someone, she stares pointedly at the teens in the room, who might have too much free time on their hands. Sure. She bustles over to you. You'll be perfect, Soleil, she says, hugging you. Then, loudly, to the others in the room, she declares, I'm glad somebody around here is responsible enough to put in their share of work. Unlocked cooking. Everyone else ignores her, shifting awkwardly. No one wants to disappoint their auntie. Antecedent gestures toward the nearby cafeteria and tells you to come by next week, so she can show you the ropes. And the final glow is upon us. So I'm going to do a little save here. Just in case something unexpected happens. Let's do this. You've been sleeping terribly. For months you've been waking up in the middle of the night from some half-remembered prophetic memory dream, and you stay awake until dawn, your mind racing, wondering how long until the dream comes true. It's getting so bad you're starting to have trouble telling dreams from reality. You'll be in the middle of a conversation with someone and realize that you're not sure if the story you're telling is something that actually happened. Sometimes you can't stop yourself from acting on some memory knowledge from your dreams, which creeps people out. It's getting harder to explain how you seem to know things you shouldn't. People are obviously worried about you. They're starting to treat you like you're fragile or dangerous. But you're so exhausted you barely notice. The days, the people, the stories, it all blends together like a smear of wet paint. It's interesting. I think this is probably something that could have happened earlier. This isn't like an end of game thing, since I'm still doing the relaxing part. But it ties in kind of nicely with the narrative here as things are sort of coming to a head. My memory's coming back despite the lobotomy. You're curled up in the lounge on a particularly surreal day, just sitting and paying attention to your breathing while you watch the other colonists go about their business. Everyone seems to snap between moving in slow motion to, in the space of a blink, moving at warp speed. You don't know what time of day it is, or even the season, really. It just feels like you've done this before, like you're watching a hollow vid of reality that you can't escape. You've done this before, not just once, but countless times. Or maybe you're just tired, or not even really awake. Your head hurts. Like watching two holovids at the same time at different speeds, slowly you feel all the layers of reality phase back in alignment with each other. You blink. You feel present in your body for what you know is going to be just a short window of lucidity. The lounge is filled with the idle chatter of people going about their day, completely unaware that you're experiencing some sort of neurological event. Should you tell someone about it? Interesting. Right at the end here. Let's talk to Vase. You tell Vase about how you're having trouble telling dreams from reality. He listens, growing more and more disgusted as you insist that you've lived the same life multiple times, like you're stuck in a time loop. You've seen the colony destroyed, you've fallen in love with people who barely know who you are, you've seen people live when they should have died. Oh, interesting. This is bullshit, Vase says, throwing his hands in the air. Honestly, I expected better from you. Whoops. But that's Delusions. That's how I was going to play this game. He grabs your arm and looks you right in the eye. Look, I know it's tough when people die, he says, but that's no excuse to live in whatever fantasy world you're living in. Knock it off and look around you. We're in an actual ward. Lounging around complaining about your visions or whatever, trying to get attention, is not cool. A nice coda to this Delusions playthrough, I think. Knowing the attack is coming, as it always comes in glow, does nothing to calm your nerves. There's only so long you can handle doing nothing, pretending like everything is going to be fine. As the month draws longer, you find yourself almost compulsively walking the walls, scanning the tree line for the first sign of trouble. You're there when you see them, dark on dark shapes coming out of the forest, perfectly silent. You watch with the lookouts as more and more figures amass the forest's edge. Minutes pass as the horde pushes into the firebreak, numbering at least, it must be in the thousands, more animals than you've ever seen in one place. The ground is choked with a teeming carpet of smaller creatures, darting in amongst the legs of, no. Oh no. The forest bends as a faceless emerges from its depths, followed by two more. Then more and more. You lose track of how many faceless appear on the tree line. A discouraged cry rises from the guards. One faceless destroyed your colony. Two faceless required an irresponsible number of explosives to take down. This many faceless? You're not even sure. The guard beside you gasps and points off into the horizon. There, the darkness has seemed to coalesce into pillars, and they're moving like legs. You hear trees being trampled underfoot as something gargantuan makes its way towards the colony. You can't even see its body, just its legs, stretching so far up into the sky that the glow of the planet cannot reach it. It looks like death. A familiar being cuts through the horde and stands at the front like a general leading their army. Gardeners must come in all shapes and sizes, but you know this one from the hatred in their eyes. It's Noctilucent. Noctilucent steps forward. For millennia, I have been tasked with keeping this planet safe from invasive species. Extreme weather, plague, famine, the migration of predators, all tactics I have used to ensure an invasive species cannot find a foothold where they do not belong. Their command of the human language has vastly improved since you saw them last. The gardeners learn quickly. Controlling you by indirect means has proven ineffective, they say, glaring up at the row of horrified colonists atop the walls. I can no longer ignore the destruction you have caused and the threat you represent to the planetary ecosystem. However, Sim steps out of the tree line and stands beside Noctilucent. His eyes find yours unerringly across the firebreak. Some gardeners argue that you have the capacity for reason, Noctilucent continues, so I have come to offer you an alternative. Your unconditional surrender. Noctilucent smirks up at you. Surrender is the correct word, is it not? Something your singular, violent brains can understand. The terms are simple. Humanity will cease reproduction, cease expansion, and in return will be allowed to live out your remaining lifespans within the bounds of your walls. Do you accept? Lum steps forward, which can only be a good thing. I don't know who you think you are, buddy, his voice booms out from the wall, but you and your bullshit deal can bugger off and keep buggering off until you think you've buggered off so much you just can't bugger off any further. He points at Noctilucent. Then bugger off some more. This planet belongs to us humans now. It's hard to tell, but you think Noctilucent looks amused. Maybe they were hoping this would be your answer, and of course, with Lum speaking for the colony, it was inevitable. So be it, they reply, and the attack begins. Fight or flee. I wonder if I can do like a fight and then fail it. I'm going to enjoy this, Noctilucent calls out. Finally, I can wipe you aliens off the face of this planet. The wave of attackers rolls over the firebreak, crashing against the walls. Flying creatures scream overhead, and the sound of plasma rifle fire fills the air. You rush towards the garrison to join the squads. As you run, you notice... So the colony... So it's... I have mediocre defenses. It's not badly defended, so I wonder if that's going to result in not getting destroyed. So you run, you see the colony defenses struggling to hold the walls and to maintain order. Soldiers flee in panic as faceless pound against the gates. The gargantuan cloud scraper approaches the colony, even more terror-inducing than when it was on the horizon. It blots out the sky and your view of the wormhole. From a distance, you hear a howling like a siren. You should never have provoked Noctilucent. You're descending from the walls when you are thrown to the ground by a tremendous quake. Your ribs crack as you hit every step on the way down to land in a crumpled heap at the bottom. You watch the walls splinter inward and the horde of faceless stampede into the colony. The walls collapse as they push their way through, throwing the defenders from their posts and allowing more monsters to pour in through the wreckage. The inner colony is quickly overtaken. You feel a bittersweet pang of sadness. This is finally it, you realize. You pushed the planet too far, failed to defend the colony, and this time there won't be another heliopause to save you. Your broken ribs are like a belt of pain across your chest. You're helpless to do anything but watch as Nem leads her squad into the fray. They don't stand a chance. One by one, the defenders are picked off, crushed, thrown aside, or pulled into the terrifying maw of a Faceless. Nem screams in fury and terror at the Faceless, her scarred face white with fear as she turns from the battle. She's cut down unceremoniously by a manticore, pierced through the chest. You watch her eyes go wide with shock, then nothing. She's thrown to the side, dead. All around you is carnage. The scent of blood and smoke is thick in your lungs as you struggle to sit up. In the distance you see the engineering wing catch fire, jets of silent flame sprouting from its rear thrusters. Like when we were kids, in space, you think distantly. A thick, mottled foot stomps on your forearm, pinning you to the mud. I hoped I would see you again, Noctilucent purrs. They lean down, grinding the bones in your forearm. I'm going to enjoy pruning you, especially. The end. The colony was destroyed. And there it is, folks. The stragglers are soon snuffed out by Noctilucent and the other exterminators, and the entire human experiment on the planet Vertumna comes to an end. You have time only to wonder what went wrong. Could you have worked harder to defend the colony? Could you have put a stop to the attacks before it came to this? Or was it by trying to fight back that you inevitably drew attention to yourself and brought this fate upon yourselves? In the moment of your death, as your brain cells fizzle out one by one and shut down forever, a vision swims in your mind's eye. Is that a person? They seem so familiar. You feel like you know them so well. Oh, it's you. Only ancient. His arms are covered with so many data bands, so many lifetimes of knowledge. The ancient you speaks without moving his mouth, not in words, but in something like pictures. Still, you understand. He smiles. We had a good life, don't you think? But there are so many possibilities, and this was only one of them. I could have done better. I can tell from the weight of your soul, he says sadly, that many of your friends and family died before their time. People who might not have, perhaps, if you'd made different choices. He pats your shoulder consolingly. It's natural in grief to wish you could have done something different, to have saved someone. But we're special, aren't we? We really can save them. We have a chance to take another path, to change the way our life turned out. He reaches out a hand. Come with me. And that's it for this run. That is where I hoped to get, ironically. An ending that I hadn't done before. I think it's the only way to die, actually, before your time. So that was really interesting. I really enjoyed seeing sides of the game that I hadn't seen before. I had never explored the swamps with Vase. I had never gotten Vase's friendship up. I had never gotten Anemone's friendship up, so seeing their relationship. I really liked seeing the relationship between Vase and Rex, how that sort of resolved itself a little bit. Before I'd only ever seen sort of one side of that. Yeah, very interesting. I mean, there's lots of other sort of adjacent endings. If you don't, you can use the virus, like I stopped today. You can destroy the array in your hunt for Noctilucent, which can change things, obviously. And then if you just don't piss Noctilucent off that much, or maybe if you have high enough defenses, the war just sort of continues on forever to some extent, and you get endings based on your profession. One of which actually that I might go back and do at some point from one of the previous saves before I piss Noctilucent off, is if you make friends with Vase and you talk about going to space with him afterwards, you can actually have an ending where you do go to space with Vase, which I would love to see, love to check out. But that's it. That is the end of this run of I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. Thank you so much for following along, for watching these streams. I want to talk about a couple things that we're going to do. I'll leave the musical. Change this over. A couple things that I want to mention. Obviously, if you've enjoyed this run, if you've enjoyed watching me, please give us a follow. Next week, a couple fun things are going to happen. Next week, or maybe the week after, another of our team members at Silverstream Media, Sai, our community manager and communications manager, is going to be starting their own stream. I think on Tuesdays we'll confirm schedule and get that information into the schedule and about section here on Twitch. So again, be sure to give us a follow and come out and check us out for that. I'm really excited to get some other team members joining the stream. Once this is all done, I'm actually going to upload this entire run of Exocolonist onto our YouTube channel so that folks can go back and watch through the whole thing if you're interested. All 12 or 13 episodes. So give us a follow over at YouTube at Silverstream Media as well if you're interested in that. That would be great. But the thing I'm most excited about is next week, during my normal time slot here, since I have finished this run, Lindsay Ishihiro, who is the lead writer, or one of the main writers on Exocolonist, is going to join me on stream. We're going to do a little chat, at least an hour, maybe a bit longer, depending, on stream at this usual time, starting at 3 p.m. Pacific time, to talk about the writing of Exocolonist and this playthrough. I have a bunch of questions and stuff I want to talk to Lindsay about. If you have any questions, if you've been following along, please join us for that. We'll try to answer some audience questions. We might just talk about sort of narrative design more generally, since that's also what I do as studio director at Silverstream Media. We're very narrative focused indie studio. So I'm very excited for that. Do come check that out next week. Give us your questions or think about what you might want to ask. I'm very excited for that. So otherwise, I'm going to wrap up there. Thank you so much for following along in this whole series. After that interview with Lindsay, the next couple of weeks or sometime later this month, I was talking about having Claris, our creative director, start doing some streaming. But I will also be back still every Friday afternoon is my plan with a new game. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. I've been considering maybe doing Tunic. I think would be fun. I've played just a little bit of it, but it would be fun to do that since there's so many puzzles and stuff to figure out. If there's people who like Tunic who know more about it than me, who can help me figure out some of those puzzles or stuff, that could be fun. So we'll see what I land on. But anyway, thank you so much everyone for watching. Please give us a follow. Come back next week. Check us out for our hopefully Tuesday stream and our Friday chat with Lindsay. I'm very excited to chat with Lindsay about the writing of this game. And we will see you then. So thank you so much. It's been so fun playing through, and I'm looking forward to doing some more streams. Thanks all.